Hello! Welcome to my channel. I'm Phoebe and today I'm going through all my works in progress, i.e. what's on my needles, and also some of my knitting plans, some lofty aspirations, and perhaps a sewing project, although that might not happen. But I'll go through it anyway. I hope you're all well. Spring has finally come and it's such a relief. I found winter really hard this year. Ordinarily I really quite like it. I enjoy obviously knitting, very much suits the winter months, but this one just seemed to keep going and going and going, and gosh, now that the sun's out and flowers are blooming and you've got a bit of sun, yeah, I'm enjoying it so much. So I hope you're well and I hope you've got the sun. First off, I'll start with the project that I'm actually actively doing, of which there are two. Firstly is the Ingrid jumper. I'm doing it in West Yorkshire Spinners fleece blue-faced Leicester. I talked about this in my Everything I Knit video and somewhat raved about it. I had 3 balls of it left somehow. I don't know from where I got it, but for some reason I did have those balls. And I saw someone on Ravelry who had it in a sort of similar colour, the Ingrid jumper, and it sparked my interest. It's a DK weight yarn. It's very soft. It's a lovely, well, I've talked about this yarn before, but it's one of my favourites. And I've gotten fairly far with it. I am in the process of, actually last night I started doing the neckline. I've got the sleeves to go, but otherwise I've done the body. I think it's lovely. It has been very fun. This is sort of the first project I've had where it's sectioned out. So obviously, you know, each couple of inches is a new pattern. And gosh, does it keep it interesting. You're sort of raring to get to the next bit and change it up. I've had quite a bit of, my memory's ever so spotty. And so the only bit I was having trouble with, of which other people might have trouble or not, depending on your memory and how good you are at accounting for your rows. But the double moss stitch, ooh, it's not hard and I really like the way it looks, but for some reason my brain was seeing 2 rows of the same, so knit, knit, purl, purl. I couldn't see the 2 rows, so I kept on doing 2 stitches of knit, 2 stitches of purl, and then doing that again. And then I'd forgotten that I'd done it twice. I'd do it another time and realise I'd then have 3, and it was messing it all up. So there are some spots where it has gone wrong like that, but as I always learn in my knitting projects, notebook right by you and write down what you've done, because you lose track, or I very much lose track. So yeah, it's really nice. I think this is going to be a nice jumper to block. I've seen some videos of people blocking this jumper, and I think particularly because it's got these rows of rib, it relaxes out, and especially with the moss stitches, it does relax quite a bit, and I think the shape's going to be really nice. I think I will stick to the pattern. I normally do. I don't improvise all that much because I'm not very familiar with how the instructions of shaping actually work. I've seen quite a few videos of other people who are seemingly as new to knitting as I am, and they are making their own patterns, and I am incredibly I admire them incredibly. I wish, maybe it's just I have a lot of ideas for jumpers I would actually like to make and design myself, but I am not brave enough yet. But maybe the future. But anyway, yes, I don't improvise much on patterns because I don't actually know how it's going to turn out, so I feel like just working to what the pattern actually says is the best way to learn. And I think it doesn't, maybe as you get to know patterns better, you can finesse it and make it specially for you. But for now, I'm trusting the process. So I've got arms and neck to do. Like all Petite Knits patterns, they're very well written out and easy for beginners, of which I would say I am. I was it sort of looks harder than it is. So if you are a new knitter, you are very much capable of knitting something like this. I think it's going to be a nice staple for my wardrobe. I have lots of ideas of things this would go very nicely with, including some fabric which I have in this corner. Actually, just this morning when I was getting my knits together, I just placed my jumper on the bed where my fabric was, and ooh, that's nice. That looks good together. The next jumper that I'm currently working on is by Bliss, and it is called the Cabled Raglan Sweater. I saw this a fair while ago, and I think I had this idea. Toast had this very oversized Aran jumper, and I thought this pattern reminded me of it, and I sort of really wanted to knit it. I was thinking of knitting it in a sort of ivory colour, but I also know that I wear grey a lot, and I do have a jumper that is grey, but I wanted a patterned one, and I thought this was such a beautiful jumper. It is not knit in the round, which I have gotten used to now, and I very much like, some would say prefer. This is knit in panels, so front, back, sleeves, and then mattress stitch it all together. I think it's going to turn out fine. And in some ways, maybe it's quite nice to get the front done and you can really sort of see your progress in a different way. The pattern is intricate. It's got lots of sections to it, so I think it's called it's not a broken rib. I'll put the name of what this type of stitch pattern is called. In the pattern itself, it's got lots of sections to it, so it's got this, whatever this rib pattern is, it's then got a braid, and then another braid, and then it's got this front panel section which is lots of weaved in jiggery pokery. It's beautiful. I really, really like it. It's sort of somehow very natural, it looks like vines or twisted trees. It's like a haunted forest, and maybe that's just my imagination, but that's really what captured me, is this middle panel. But when I started doing it, I finished the rib section at the bottom, obviously, and then got onto the pattern bit, and I was just getting so lost, because obviously it goes, you know, it has lots of cabled bits and lots of irregular knit, purl, 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 knit, purl, you know, as pattern, those sorts of patterns do. And it was infuriating because I was getting it wrong, really wrong. Where is it? I actually do have the pattern here, which I think is going to be useful. Yes, you have the cable pattern at the side, which is 8 rows. And so obviously that 8 rows, just, you do it over and over and over again. But then the main middle panel is 32 rows. I think I'm going to end up doing the middle panel 3 times to make up the length of the jumper. Sorry, I didn't show it. This is it. I love it, but the reason I mention this is because the pattern doesn't say to add stitch markers, and because it wasn't written, I didn't do that. So that's the reason I was getting confused. I couldn't keep track of my stitches. As soon as I realised I have free will and actually I can do whatever I want, I added stitch markers in, and that was it. It worked out so well, and this is what stitch markers are for, and it was a good prompt for me. You don't necessarily have to do a pattern word for word. And in life, you don't have to follow the rules completely. You can improvise, and sometimes I think I need to remember that. I can use my own brain sometimes. So I added stitch markers and it's flown by. Now that I'm in the flow of it, I'm really enjoying it, and I think it's going to make a really nice jumper. Really heavy, perfect for spring. But I think it's going to make a spectacular jumper. And I'm knitting it in Drops Alpaca in Anthracite or colour 5. I wanted to use this yarn for another project. Rather, I'd seen online this Aran weight wool, and someone was talking about it, and they said it was very itchy against their skin, and it had for a really long time it had put me off, because I thought, oh god, it's going to be itchy and actually it's not going to work as a jumper and blah blah blah. And I don't think it's itchy at all. Maybe it's because I've not actually worn this against my skin yet, but I'm not finding it very scratchy. So if anyone else had concerns about that, I would say you don't have to worry about it. It's a nice yarn. It's not got a lot of meterage. I think it's 70 meters. Yeah, so I had to buy something like 19 balls of it, which was a bit of a shock to my partner, because I had made a promise that I wasn't going to buy any more yarn, because I have a lot at home. Actually, now thinking about this is compounded so much more by something else that's happened, that I will actually make another video about, because it's an interesting story. But I am so inundated with yarn, you would not believe. And my partner sort of didn't want me to buy any more because I have so much. And what happened? I had a massive parcel come with 2 sets of yarn. One of them was this in a huge bag. And I was a bit shocked, because I used, you're not actually thinking how big the bag's going to be with all the yarn. But it was very big, it was very alarming, very exciting. But also, yes, I'm having to change yarn a lot, obviously, because there's only 70 meters. So there's going to be a lot of ends to weave, which I'm not necessarily looking forward to, but it's going to be a lovely jumper. And there's some other Debbie Bliss patterns that I don't see a lot of people talk about, but actually they're very nice. She has like a white cabled vest, which I think is very fetching, which eventually I might knit. But otherwise, it's going very well, and I love it. Next up, after that, is the Oda Vest. I talked about this before, but it's the Oda Vest by Skall Studio. I've already made it in the brown, grey, but I did start it in this merino, Drops Merino extra fine colour. In this lighting it looks fairly cool, I think, but it is cool. It is a bit buttery, which I worry about in terms of my colouring. This is it. That's the front and back. It's lovely, and it's gonna drape in the same way that my other one did, which I'm looking forward to because I really like it. And I think it is very classic. On top of a nice skirt or a dress, it's going to layer very nicely. It's also a really nice pattern to knit. It was, I think when I knit the first one I flew by, but because I've got a lot of sort of more intricate patterns on the go, I've not had a lot of, well, for one, I've not had a lot of time recently for various reasons to knit, which has been a big shame, but also just by the nature of having so many cabled things, I feel like it feels like such a project that it's a bit daunting to think of actually getting out the cable pattern and doing more cables. I think this is why it's sometimes good to have a stocking knit project alongside a cabled project, alongside a sock or something, I don't know, or a scarf. But I do want to get these projects finished because it's not good. I've got so many ideas for things that I want to knit that I think it starts to get a bit stressful because you've got this time constraint in your head. There's so many things I want to knit, it's unbelievable. And trying to decide what would be exciting and what's weather appropriate. It's hard. But I think this would actually be a nice summery, English summery project. The next project is another cabled. It's a lot of cables. Gosh. It's been on my needles for a really, really long time, and I think I did talk about this before. I don't know if I can't remember if I showed it or not, but it is the jumper number 15 by My Favourite Things Knitwear. It's the pistachio, lovely glaucous-y green jumper. I think this is also going to be a wonderful jumper if I can just boot myself up the bum and actually start doing it, because I think it is quite a fun jumper to do as well. So I think I started again at Christmas to knit it. I went to Scotland with some of my family and I started doing a little bit there, but then my lovely niece, I was playing with her basically the whole time I was there, so I didn't actually get that much time to knit this, and I'd hoped I would have finished it. But this is another one. To be honest, in terms of, I said about having a stocking knit jumper to have at the same time, I think this is bordering on maybe as easy as doing a sort of stocking knit jumper in terms of your attentiveness to it. It is lovely. I'm doing it in the Drops Flora colourway number 16. Normally I wouldn't go for a colour, I really like this green, but I wouldn't go for a colour that's this light green, sorry. I wouldn't go for a light green like this. But in combination with the Drops Kid Silk in colour 34, which is this silvery grey, it makes just a lovely, lovely colour, which I very much like. But I just need to finish it. Ah, alas. It's a bit frustrating to have so many projects on the go. It doesn't suit me at all. I really do. I need the dopamine boost of having finished one and wearing it for like 2 weeks in a row. 2 weeks in a row. Wearing it for like 2 months in a row. But hey ho. Oh! There is also a project which I finished in February, which I haven't shown. And I think I showed the yarn at the end of my Everything I Knit in blah 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 blah. But I actually finished the pattern, and it's gorgeous. Oh my god. Again, perfect for the spring. Hang on. Oh. It's so beautiful. It's so warm. It is the warmest jumper I have, and it is the first colourway jumper I've done. It's the Foika jumper, and it's just divine. There's another YouTuber who made this, I think she's Finnish, and she's got, I think it's a fairly watched, famous video of some of her jumpers that she's knitted. And she did knit this jumper exactly, and I wasn't heavily inspired. I completely copied it because it was absolutely beautiful. I've wanted to do a colour work jumper for a really long time. I had high aspirations for it. But you know when you just can't decide on a pattern or on the colours that you'd want? And I saw that video, I think, 6 months ago, and I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I thought that's a jumper I would wear for the rest of my life. And it would be a very good introduction to colour work. I love it. My partner loves it. I might have to knit him a version of it. I'll put what yarns I used because I don't know them off the top of my head. But it's beautiful. Yeah. Unfortunately, I finished at the end of February. It is now, is it March? No, it's April now, gosh. March started to get much nicer and much warmer. So I've not had much occasion to wear it apart from at the very end of February, which is when I finished it, and beginning of March. But that has really given me the dopamine boost I needed. I love it. And my partner got me the yarns, so it's a really special jumper to me. I always think it's nice when, not only when someone gets you yarn or a project or fabric, but it's, you know, that's nice for you, but then it's also nice for them to know that they've got you something you really do love and you will wear for the rest of your life. And so I think it's obviously wonderful for me because I have this lovely jumper, but I think it's also nice for Robin because he's seen his gift has brought me so much joy and will continue to bring me so much joy. So thanks, Robin. Right, now we're on to projects that I want to knit. I have the wherewithals to knit, but will I get round to them? We don't know. The first one that I think is going to be the next pattern I knit is the Magda jumper by Skall Studio. My older sister bought me the pattern, I think 2 years ago for Christmas. And I've seen this pattern, I think I saw it on Instagram for a really long time, and people were obviously doing the test knits for the company, so they kept on showing this beautiful jumper. I kept on wanting it and it didn't come out for I think like a year or 2 years. It just but when it finally did come, very happy about it. Only trouble is, however, the pattern used a Danish yarn, and it described it as 3-ply. Now that is incredibly thin, and I was very confused about it because I thought, the yarn that I would regularly get, for instance for the jumper number 15, is a 4-ply and then adding a lace weight. But I thought, God, everyone's pictures of this jumper does not look like a 3-ply yarn. Like, that's incredibly thin. But I sort of trusted it. And so I made a huge, very expensive, lofty purchase of the Raw Wool Company's 4-ply yarn. This is it. This is the exact colour I wanted it in. It's in real life, I don't know if this captures it right, but it's my favourite colour. Oh, sorry, that's the door. It is my favourite brown. It's silvery and it's minimally processed. It's absolutely beautiful. It's obviously incredibly thin. And I just kept on looking at this pattern in disbelief, thinking like, it can't be 3-ply yarn, surely. All these pictures look like at least an Aran weight yarn. And then I used ChatGPT and I asked them about the yarn that the Skall Studio used. It's likely not a 3-ply yarn, it's in the commercial sense. So it might be that the yarn itself from that producer is 3-ply of yarn, or I don't know the terminology and I'm rephrasing as I understand it. But it's not, the weight of it is not the same as a commercial weight one, which meant that when I then went on Instagram and sort of double checked what everyone else was using for the pattern, it was an Aran weight yarn everyone was using. So my very expensive yarn purchase was all for naught. I luckily kept, I think I bought 6, and I used Robin to, he's my holder, he's my yarn winder, the best bit of equipment I have. But I had unwound 2 balls, which meant that I couldn't return them. So I did return the other 4 and I got some of my money back. And then I bought in for a penny, in for a pound. I thought, well, I've already spent originally this much. This is how much I got from that. This is how much I got returned to me. So I might as well just spend my money, even if it's expensive, on something that I really do want, because this Magda jumper I've wanted to knit for so long, and I'm very specific about colour. So what did I do? I bought West Yorkshire spinners. I bought the Blue Face Leicester in Aran, and I bought it in the darker brown. Yeah, dark brown. This is a lovely colour as well, and I obviously love it. It's sort of fresh, it's ultimately my own fault. I should have researched this and followed my gut feeling about the yarn weights. But the original amount I spent on the Raw Wool Company yarn, I've now spent on this stuff, plus the 2 balls of the raw wool. Ooh, ugh. I've trouble saying R's. Raw wool. Ooh, that's a hard one. But this is the plan, and I have the pattern called for 2,200 meters of wool, which is a lot. So this was part of the package that came with the Drops Alaska, and it's a very large amount of wool. But I think it's going to make a lovely jumper. So also, to go alongside this, I do love this brown, but I would like to incorporate a slightly more rustic edge to it. And that video I referred to earlier on about that I was going to make a whole new video about was basically about this massive yarn haul that I got. I probably have about 30 cones of yarn in 4-ply and probably 4-ply, 2-ply yarn. I honestly have so much. I'll keep you in bated breath because honestly it's pretty spectacular how much yarn I got. Also it was a nice deal for me, and very good for the person I bought it from. But interestingly enough, one of the cones of yarn which is this, is awfully similar to the Raw Wool Company yarn. Very, very similar. The raw, I don't know why I keep having to say raw wool, and it is like the worst tongue twister for me. The Raw Wool Company, I've lost my train of thought as well, oh gosh. Yes, the Raw Wool Company's yarn is slightly more silvery, slightly lighter. This one's slightly darker, but it's also lovely. Because of the nature of how the cones, I found the cones, they were all quite musty and old, and some of the winding outside was quite fragile. So it was quite frustrating to unwind it and make it into hanks. And I also had a right kerfuffle trying to make a yarn winder, as in, I'm not sure if it's actually called that, but it's the contraption that can shrink in and out, and you put your hank over and you can, like a hank holder, I think it's called, something like that. I had to make one, and initially I had a method of winding this yarn, which was putting the backs of 2 chairs together, so the seats were like that, and then either wrapping my arm around it, which was getting very tiring and I couldn't do it for the larger yarns, or walking around and holding it behind my back and letting it unspool as I walked, which made me very dizzy. And then my partner came along, and he, while I was at work, made me a winder, which you will see in the next video if you watch. And it changed the game. Suddenly this project, which was to unwind all these cones of yarn and wash them, you know, it was going to take me months, it was going to be stressful and daunting. Suddenly it became so much easier, and I could just fly by making these hanks. But it means my hanks are massive. This is probably 2 meters long in diameter. So I must have a lot, and I have about 6 of these. So I think I have enough. I actually have to go through every hank of yarn that I've made and actually measure the diameter and then count how many strands I've got, and then I can actually know what meterage I have. But it's really lovely yarn, and I want to use it. So long story short, I'm going to combine the two, because I think this is maybe only 2-ply, it's not even 4-ply. So I think it won't make much of a difference, and it will give a nice, very subtle marl effect, which I'm it makes it rustic, which I'm a big fan of. Now, the projects which I don't necessarily have the yarn for, but I would very much like to make. 2 patterns are by the same person. It's Astrid Troland, or Troland. It's the Stockholm jumper, which really caught my eye. I really liked it in the brown colour, so I probably will do it in the brown colour. Obviously not too fit for spring summer, but I just love jumpers. I don't know, this is sort of what I partially wanted to talk about, which was that I gravitate towards jumpers often, and oversized jumpers at that. And I've recently been writing a lot. I have this really brilliant notebook. I actually finished the notebook for the first time, and I was writing. I sort of began it being a bit tentative and thinking like, oh, I don't want to mix ideas into my journal or into this notebook. Maybe I'll have one for knitting and one for sewing, and one's a dream diary and blah blah blah. And at one point I just I tried to use it a bit more casually, and I actually just started writing whatever I wanted into this notebook. And since then I've filled it, and it's been really nice, because actually the more I've used it and the more casual I've become with it, and I've started carrying it around wherever I go, I'm starting to write more, I'm starting to reflect a lot more, and I was thinking, one of the things I've wanted to do this year is to self-reflect more, is to actually write down these ideas and link them to other things that I've thought, because I think the more you write it down, the less ephemeral it becomes. You know, I've noticed I've thought these things before, but you don't actually connect them. And this is about various things, knitting as well. But with knitting, I realised that I do tend to gravitate towards large, oversized jumpers. And I sort of had almost this dread of knitting something that was fitted. And it's a funny thing, it's something I think I need to address, and that I need to write about. It's sort of partially why I started reflecting on this is because my best friend from childhood, who I've not seen for about 2 years for various reasons, she came round and stayed for the weekend, and we had this very big chat, and it was really lovely. It was really nice to see her. But when I told her that I had started this YouTube, she was really shocked, and I thought, sort of, because 2 years had gone by, I'd forgotten that I've probably changed a lot in the past 2 years, and I think for the better. I think I'm a bit more serious than I once was, and perhaps that comes with age, but also I think it comes with reflecting, and with my partner, who, his family discuss everything. They're really open and very interesting. They talk about all sorts, but in turn it's affected me, and it's made me reflect a lot more and talk about things a lot more. And so she was very shocked that I'd started this YouTube, and it's because I'm actually very shy and very self-conscious. And partially the reason I wanted to do this YouTube is because I've got this resistance to being on camera, and to being in pictures. My partner loves photography and making videos, and he's very good at it. And when we first started dating, he would want to take pictures of me and take videos of me. And it really is only in the past 2 years maybe that I've gotten more comfortable with being on camera. But otherwise I spent the first 25 years probably absolutely hating being on camera and being very shy, and unfortunately lots of my family pictures of me in my teenage years is me making sort of funny faces because I felt so uncomfortable. And partially it's because I think the image I have of myself doesn't match what I see on video. And so my attempt at sort of becoming more confident in myself, more comfortable with myself, is to actually do the things that I want, which is to make a YouTube video, to talk about yarn, to talk about clothing, to talk about art, to talk about books, and sort of to give up this self-consciousness, which I think is not helpful at all. It's not comfortable, and it doesn't really align with people that I admire, who are brave, who do the things that they want to do regardless of other people's opinions. And the older I get, the more I think, just it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. You should be able to have fun, and the person whose expectations you need to live by are your own. Or I think a lot about what my partner believes, because he's a very good man. And as I get older, it's also my other job is an artist. I went to art school and university, or rather I went to university to study fine art, and I think to be creative in any field, or just to be a creative person, which I think people inherently actually are, but especially for me because I want to create art, I want to create things, self-consciousness is really the detriment to you, because you can't play, and you really need play to progress in anything, because you will be bad, you will do bad things, your ideas will suck, but you will figure things out also in the meantime. This is something I'm learning with knitting as well, is you know, I have these ideas for colour work jumpers, but I'm sort of so held back by these ideas of that the colours won't go together and it'll be the wrong thing. But actually that's just the way you learn. That's the way I need to learn. And so that's something I've been thinking about recently. And maybe it's helpful to hear someone verbalise it if you've had these thoughts yourself. But the people I admire most are undaunted by making things and it being wrong. They just do. And that's the sort of thing I've been reflecting on recently, is this I want to make things, I want to do things, and I will learn from them, and it's my opinion that matters on these things. So yeah, so going back to what I plan to make. Yes, the Stockholm jumper I want to make. Funnily enough, at the same time, I was incredibly taken by scarf number 66 by Astrid Troland as well. Obviously, a scarf is not the thing you want to be making in spring and summer. Will I make it? Probably, because it really caught my eye. She makes some really lovely patterns, and I don't think I've seen enough people make them. So check her out, because she is pretty marvellous. I would really like to make that scarf in like a silvery, effervescent, whitey blue. I realise that's 3 different colours, but something that's quite, in my eyes, elf-like, which I think is that sort of glowiness that you can have with silvers and when it has a touch of blue in it. But I also have this very deep blue yarn, which I have from one of the cones, that I think would be really nice, and it's more of a Donegal sort of mix, and I think that would make a very nice scarf. Another one I want to make is the Eurus jumper by Aeygo Knit. I'm terrible with pronunciations. I saw someone make it in red, and I have had quite a hankering to make a red jumper, but also I would very much like it in a, guess what colour? Navy blue. If you've seen my other knitting video, you know that sort of blue is what I gravitate towards. But I would really like it in a navy blue. And there's a Baram U brand of wool. There's this very deep blue yarn that is a Aran weight yarn, and it is jolly nice. And I think it's expensive, so I probably won't make it out of that, but if anyone else wants to give it a go, I will be nice and jealous. Then I would like to make a top. I'm sort of apprehensive about it because I don't know what cotton yarn's going to be like, or silk. A lot of the silk yarns that I've seen are quite, it's got a shiny sheen to it, which I'm a bit averse to. So I'm not sure about that. I do have this superwash merino yarn, and I was thinking this would make a really nice blouse number 1 by my favourite knitwear. My favourite things knitwear. I think it's the right weight yarn. I think I have enough of it, and I really like that sort of broad boat neck shape to the blouse, and I would quite like to try making a low back on it. Not sure how it would work, but I think this black, I would wear it a lot. I think it would be okay in the summer. I am always cold. You know, spring and summer is a really nice relief to me because I'm ever so slightly not cold. But still my hands and feet are very cold, so I think I'll be okay even in the summer and spring. being in the sun wearing a wool. I also think wool's very breathable, so I imagine it's going to be okay. But otherwise, the last pattern that I'm thinking of is it's called the Nata dress by Isaeva. I hope I pronounced that right. I probably haven't pronounced much of this right anyway, but I think it would be a really nice dress. Its silhouette I very much like. It challenges me with the tightness of it, but I think that's a good thing. And I think I would love it and probably make it in other colours if I have the perseverance to do a dress, because you know, doing the rib at the bottom of a jumper is one thing. To do, like, I don't know, a dress length amount of stocking knit stitch in whatever size needles are required for that project is quite another thing. But so far those are on the horizons, I think. Obviously some of you might not enjoy the fact that none of this is very spring-like, but I can only tell you what I'm doing. So yes. I also have one ball of a fingering weight yarn that's cashmere in a dark grey, and I had half a mind to do another Sophie scarf just using that one ball of yarn, just to sort of use it up, because otherwise I don't know what I'm going to use it for. I think I bought it when I first started knitting, and I had some idea in mind of what I wanted to do. Since then I've lost that idea, and I think it will make a really nice little layering piece that I can do various things with. But so far, that is it. I've got quite a lot of things coming up. For the next 2 weeks, me and my partner are moving to Edinburgh, which is very exciting. We went there for the first time. It was the reading festival we went for, but Fringe is on at the same time. It was the first time I'd been to Edinburgh, and it was absolutely mind-blowing. It was so beautiful. It sort of doesn't feel like a city, it feels like a town to me. And we really like the idea of living there, and then things have just so happened to plan out that we can go and that we can rent an apartment. So I'm incredibly excited. However, I have 2 painting commissions on that I need to finish before we go, and we go on the 15th of April. So it's a bit stressful. One of the paintings is nearly done and is quite small, but the other one is medium-sized, and I've only just started. So I've got so many things on. I've got all these things I want to knit, and I'm desperate to knit. I've also got books that I really have been dying to read. I've been watching lots of videos of Dr. Ian McGilchrist. If you've not heard of him, check out his. He's got a lot of videos online. He's completely fascinating. His research is fascinating. I've just started his book, The Master in His Emissary, which is his first book, and that is absolutely fantastic. Reading for all. Some of you might not be very interested in the sort of topic, but I think it's very much worth exploring. I won't explain. Look him up if you're interested, but it's really interesting. So I've got that book that I really want to read. I've got these things that I want to knit. I've got something which I want to sew, which I'll come on to now. You know, I really like cool colours. That's what suits me. However, my partner's nanny, Diane, gave me some fabric that she had, which is this rusty red linen. I love linen, and I love this colour. I don't think it will suit me all that much, but I also think if I combine it with some things in my wardrobe, like the Ingrid sweater, I just think these two things would go so well. And I have an idea for a top, and it is by Mara. I saw her on Instagram. She's called Mara Sews Clothes, and she had two tops that I really like and would like to sew. It's the Lani top and then also the Valentina Blouse. And I think I would have enough to do one of those, and I think it would be a really nice spring-summer piece. But I only have 2 weeks to do it, along with painting, all the other things you've got to do, cook, go to work. So I might not get round to the sewing because I've only got 2 weeks, but also maybe I'll push it, I don't know. I really would like to have a blouse in this colour, because it's just lovely. I really admire Robin's grandma because she did a lot of sewing. I think now she's gotten to an age where her eyesight has gone massively, and so has her hearing. So she can't sew anymore, but she kept all of her fabrics, of which she gave me quite a bit of. She's kept them so nicely, so well organised and preserved. So this fabric might be like 20 years old, but you would not know, and the condition it's in, it's really beautiful. But her whole house is like that. All of her furniture, all her clothes, she really takes care of things, and it made me think, God, I'm so messy, and I really don't take care of the things that I own, that I love. And actually that's something I'm gonna start trying to implement, is really taking care of the things I have. Because I would love, you know, my Foika jumper, I would love to have that in 50 years. And to do that, I need to take care of it. But she gave me this fabric. I'm very grateful. And I think, again, on the topic of being brave and doing what I want, I think this will make something really nice, and I can make it suit me. So I'm going to give it a try. But I also thought this would make quite a nice, I've been seeing fairly recently, now I'm not a fan of the trend necessarily, but lots of skirts over trousers, almost in a sort of Japanese, Korean style. But I thought this would make a really nice skirt that's quite open almost, that I can put on top of a pair of trousers or a pair of shorts. That sort of, you know, it's not a skirt to cover up. And I thought if I had a pair of even like bicycle shorts, I could have a very light skirt that I could sort of put over them, or even put over a pair of trousers. And I think this would look really nice, especially if I had a matching top to go with it. So that's also been on my mind. Whether I get to do it, we don't know. But that's it. That's everything I want to knit and have got on the needles. I'm hoping to make a video about the Ingrid jumper, just a sort of knit along one. But equally, I'm also going to have a sort of moving to Edinburgh video, because there's a lot going on with that. You know, the flat we're renting, I can't bring all my stuff, and Robin's mum can't store all my stuff, so it means I'm going to have to let go of some of my possessions, and also some of my paintings. So it's also it's mixed up with new beginnings, which are very positive and exciting, with some difficult things, which is letting go of some stuff that I don't necessarily, I would like to keep, but also I think it will be good for me to give up some stuff, because I have so much. And you know, a separate video I'm also going to make is this yarn haul that I got, which is substantial, and so it's sort of all coalesced, this yarn stuff, which has meant I've got so much yarn, and maybe some of it I need to get rid of. But yeah, I hope that wasn't a sour note at the end. I'd love to know if anyone's in the same position as me. What do you do when you've got so much stuff? How do you manage all of your projects on the go? Do you do better with just one project and then finishing it and moving on to the next? Thank you for watching. Really appreciate it, and I have been very much enjoying reading people's comments and finding out what you all do. It's wonderful. Enjoy your spring. Enjoy the sun. I hope you have some. And I'll see you, either I'll see you in the next video or that'll be it. Bye bye.